Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm the House Hacker, and today I want to talk to you about the third installment of the Foundation series, the philosophy of approaching life like lightning. And you might be asking yourself, what does that have to do with personal finance and career success? And I think there's a lot that we can learn from observing nature. So let's take a look at lightning and how it behaves and what we could learn from it. Lightning is a powerful force of nature that is often underestimated. It moves with a fury that heats the air around it to 5 times the temperature of the sun, and it strikes with a force that can wipe out hundreds of lives at a time. In fact, there was an incident in Norway where it struck an open field, and the electricity that hit the ground was so powerful that it traveled through the ground up the legs of reindeers, killing them, down their legs, and off to the next reindeer. By the time that single strike was done, it had killed over 300 reindeer. And this is the only time that we've seen it do this. I mean, there's multiple incidents across the world where we've actually found clear documentation of this happening. And despite all of this power, lightning behaves in a very interesting way. And I think there's 3 lessons that we can learn from observing the behavior of lightning. And the first is purpose. Lightning moves with a purpose. Its goal is to reach ground. 2, when we watch how lightning moves, it doesn't go in a straight line. But a straight line is the shortest path for it to accomplish its goal. You should assume that it would take the shortest path, but it doesn't. Instead, it makes a decision atom by atom to take the path of least resistance. It will shift, it'll adjust, and do whatever it needs to do to take the path of least resistance, which then brings us to point number 3, flexibility. Lightning is not committed to a single path and will constantly change course depending on the new information that it has. So as it finds a path of less resistance, it adjusts itself. Now, how does this tie in with personal finance and career success? Well, before you approach any task, you want to establish clear objectives, clear goals, a purpose that you can focus on. Then, when you attempt to approach how to resolve this, you need to both be flexible and constantly look for the path of least resistance. Now, here's something that's actually really interesting. When you slow lightning down through a slow motion camera, you'll find that there's a whole bunch of feelers that kind of go down. It's almost like these miniature lightning bolts that go down, and then once it kind of figures out which path it wants to take, it surges all of its power through a single bolt. And I think that that's also good to keep in mind when you're tying all of this in. Look at multiple different approaches that you can approach a specific problem with, and then take the path of least resistance. Don't just hedge your bet on one path forward. So let me share with you some examples of how in the past I lived by this philosophy and how I think it would be helpful for other people to adopt in the future. Over the past couple years, when I was managing software development teams, I've noticed that we've never seemed to have enough graphical design folks. So one of the things that I would do is when I have a very small change that I want to make, I mean, the really big changes, you really do need to rely on those UI, UX folks, graphical design guys. But when it's a minor change, what I'll do is I'll take the initiative and I'll begin creating my own wireframe. So a wireframe is a rough design of where things are going to go on the screen, and sometimes it'll include like the color themes and everything. And I'll include, what I think it should look like, and I'll send it over to them for their quick review. So that way we can get a faster turnaround time. This isn't because that they're not competent, it's just that there just isn't enough, and the turnaround for getting them to do a simple wireframe can sometimes be 1 to 2 weeks when all it is adding a button. And before we can even begin doing anything, we need them to actually take a look and approve that this is how we want it to look. And so it's much easier to kind of go through this process instead of having them having to wait on them. So the path of least resistance means that I have to take extra time out of my day, which I'm already generally strapped for. But if this is an important adjustment and it's quick and I can streamline the team's functionality by just doing this, then absolutely this is the path forward. Or another example is when I was filming this video, the first take, this is my second take, was a total disaster. And I tried to fix it. I tried to edit it and change it, and it just wasn't, the video was just so poorly shot that there was no fixing it. It was a lighting issue, and it was causing everything to look staticky. The path of least resistance, unfortunately, is me sitting down and reshooting the entire video. And for those of you who've never filmed yourselves doing something, let me tell you, sitting in a room talking to a camera makes you feel like a little less than smart, but doing it a second time over the exact same conversation definitely is not a fun task. So those are kind of my thoughts on approaches that you can take to remain flexible, to have an objective, and sometimes it means doing things you don't really want to do, but being flexible and approaching it from this perspective of path of least resistance, looking at multiple avenues. Don't just limit yourself. Don't let any one person become the reason why you can't accomplish the tasks you need to accomplish. So, if you like this video, go ahead and lightning strike that like button. Please subscribe and share the video to help the channel grow, and comment below your thoughts on how this will affect your career. Do you think it would help, or it would not matter at all? I'm interested in knowing how the foundational series you think would support career development. So, thanks for watching, guys. Until the next one.